This is the Liz Harrison Show.
Good afternoon, folks. Thank you for listening. I'm Liz Harrison. And of course, if you're listening on Vigilant Liberty Radio, great. Otherwise, you may be catching me later in the evening on K98talk.com. Thanks for supporting them. Thursday, almost done. Almost done with this lovely week. It can't come soon enough. Really. Anyway. Gallup might have a brain. I love polling places. Okay, no, not really. Polling firms always scare me, because I understand a basic truth when it comes to polls. You can make a poll say anything in the world that you actually want it to. Does not matter. You can use statistics to say whatever you like as well. It all has to do with how you calculate them. And in the case of the federal government, U.S. Department of Labor, we've been saying this for a long time as conservatives, the 5.6% unemployment rate is absolutely meaningless. And Gallup figured that out. Of course, they're sort of soft pedaling. They call it extremely misleading. Still got to be kind. Yeah, this is why, if you pay attention to conservative news sources, as opposed to getting all excited about the unemployment numbers, you'll often hear talk about the actual labor participation rate. You know. Now, here's the reasoning at Gallup, and I quote, if you, none of them will tell you this, if you, a family member or anyone is unemployed and has subsequently given up on finding a job, if you are so hopelessly out of work that you've stopped looking over the past 4 weeks, the Department of Labor doesn't count you as unemployed. Now, they're saying that the media doesn't tell you this. Yes, they do. But apparently Gallup doesn't watch Fox. Fox News has been explaining this to the people for a very long time now. Anyway, and of course, you know, people who pay attention to alternative media like this broadcast here, we've been saying that too. Isn't that lovely? Anyway. That's right, while you are as unemployed as one can possibly be and tragically may never find work again, you are not counted in the figure we see relentlessly in the news, currently 5.6%. Right now, as many as 30 million Americans are either out of work or severely underemployed. Trust me, the vast majority of them aren't throwing parties to toast falling unemployment. There's another reason why the official rate is misleading. Say you're an out-of-work engineer or healthcare worker or construction worker or retail manager. If you perform a minimum of 1 hour of work in a week and are paid at least $20, maybe someone pays you to mow their lawn, you're not officially counted as unemployed in the much reported 5.6%. Few Americans know this. Okay. So they're finally figuring this shit out. The other amusing thing is, you know, I always look at the sidebars. You know, what other things have they associated with this website as opposed to the latest news that's on the left? I look to the right. An opinion column from October 14th, 2014. The one thing I'd fix: America's decline in entrepreneurship. Wow. So even liberals want to see more business, theoretically, right? Now, if only we could get Gallup to go and tell the people that the president is being disingenuous when he talks about the whole middle America, helping to build business, make it a wonderful world, and using that lovely arbitrary number of $250,000 as an income level, where if you're making more than that, you must be an evil, evil person. You are not part of the middle class. Math is hard. No, the president doesn't want the people to know that in order to really be into the category, as a general rule, of individuals that are either sole proprietors or what have you of businesses that actually make jobs. You are not going to be posting your income at under $250,000 a year. This is a general rule. I'm not saying that that is, a hard and fast, if you're a business owner, you're making more than that. No. There are obviously some businesses that are just starting out and are in the red, and there are some businesses that are really, really small, but they still employ some people, and the actual income coming in for the owners is under that threshold. However, in general, if they are providing jobs in this economy, they are above that. So we're not talking about evil rich people here. Because, at the $250,000 level, yes, that's what you're telling the government that you're making. But unfortunately, when you're doing all those tax things for the purposes of figuring out your income, you don't end up telling them, based on the number that Obama is using, that's the number before a lot of the things that you have to pay out to remain in business. That arguably a lot of them, the IRS gives you some of the money back because of write-offs for business operating costs, etc., but they don't give you it all back, obviously. But yeah, this is an imaginary number that Obama uses to get people all fired up because they understand the concept. $250,000, that's a lot of money. I mean, you'd be a really happy camper if you're sitting there getting one of those scratch-off tickets, the lottery game, and you would win that. Or, you're watching the TV and seeing those numbers come up and that's your winnings. Of course, you don't think about, you might only take home 55-60% of it, and the rest of it goes to taxes, if you're lucky. That it's, 55-60% you get to keep. Sometimes it's closer to 50-50, because, Uncle Sam. Or is it Obama? I don't know. Anyway, it's very disingenuous. It is extremely counterproductive. And it does not help build our economy in the same way that the imaginary governmental jobs do not build the economy. You do not build the economy by creating jobs that do not contribute to our GDP. Doesn't happen. Gross domestic product. You have to make something, build something. You didn't build that, remember? No, of course not. The people don't build business. Are you kidding? We're in liberal land. People don't build anything. You don't do anything without the government. You're all Julia. Yeah. So maybe we need to go and write to Jim Clifton over at Gallup because he finally figured out the whole unemployment thing. That maybe he could figure out how to tell the public about the imaginary numbers. The other imaginary numbers that the liberals, the president, are using to prevent growth in this nation. And that is what it is, by the way. Because they're opposed to this thing called capitalism. They don't really understand it. It is a bit beyond them. Because, if it doesn't involve the government, then what is that? We can't understand. I mean, we understand that we have to protect the people from themselves, even down to the point when you're talking the little first grader with the little table and the pitcher of lemonade, or in the case now, a urn full of hot chocolate. Yeah, it's lovely. So, hey, we might be reaching a point, but I'm liking one thing. He's calling this a big lie, the whole unemployment number thing. And the other thing is, Gallup defines a good job as 30 plus hours a week for an organization that provides a regular paycheck. Right now, the U.S. is delivering at a staggeringly low rate of 44%, which is the number of full-time jobs as a percent of the adult population 18 years and older. We need that to be 50% and at a bare minimum of 10 million new good jobs to replenish America's middle class. Now, I would be much happier if he was, instead of saying 30 plus hours, saying 40 hours, because the whole social engineering project that we have going on, otherwise known as Obamacare, has redefined our job market, and not in a good way. Don't forget, Nancy Pelosi and the rest of them say, you don't want to be tied down to a job. You want to have the freedom to create, to run about freely and not worry about whether or not you can take your health care with you. Not be stuck with that horrible 40-hour-a-week job that actually pays your bills and puts food on your table. Yeah. Because freedom is better. Freedom from work is better than being able to keep a roof over your head and food on your table without the assistance of the government. We don't have a high enough percentage of individuals in this nation that are utterly dependent on the government, so therefore we need to create governmental programs that will disincentivize the concept of employers making sure that Americans can stand on their own 2 feet. That's it. Right there in a nutshell, folks. And we've been saying it all along. We're waiting for Gallup to... He picked up on the nice little thing about the unemployment. He figured that out. Now, baby steps. Got to start pointing him in the right direction. Because, see, it's meaningful. Because think about how many times you see the evil mainstream media referring to Gallup poll this, Gallup poll that, Gallup poll that. Yeah, they go galloping through. Different type of galloping, I guess. Yeah. This is important. This is good. We want to see more, but it's still good. They're starting to realize this is not This is not the way to build an economy. Social engineering is only going to restrict growth. It will not encourage new business. Remember yesterday I was getting on that, at least in the Silicon Valley thing. The women whining that they can't get money for their startups. I was talking about that briefly earlier with the wonderful producer that we have here on VLR that produces the Right Mics that is on at 2 p.m. Eastern, Jessica. If you've listened to the Right Mics, you've probably heard her, because she occasionally does talk to the gentleman on that show. And Jessica and I were talking about it because, she's one of those evil women who actually is managing to make her own way in the world of tech without whining. And we were talking about the atmosphere in higher education. And in her case, she was going to school not as long ago as I was. I'm significantly older. But she was saying about the same thing that I was. She was saying that she would have men that would rib her occasionally. And they would say, "Oh, you're not smart enough to do this or that." And then she'd get better grades than them. And suddenly, guess what? Because she did better than they did and could show it, they stopped. They didn't pick on her anymore. It wasn't about her being a woman. She proved that she could do it. Now flip that around a bit and think about it. We're talking about competition in a classroom, a competitive nature. Does it really matter which gender she was? That conversation could have happened with anybody for any reason. It could have happened based on race. It could have happened based on gender. Heck, it could have happened because the person who was walking into the classroom decided that they weren't going to wear the same type of clothing that everybody else would. Like maybe they dressed up too much. Or maybe they dressed down too much, one or the other. There's any number of different reasons why that conversation could have occurred. Somebody decides to say, "Oh, you're not that smart. You can't do this work." And then suddenly find out the hard way, "Oh, wait a minute, that person really is smart enough. They can do better than me in this class, or at least keep up." And they could show it with the grades. No whining. Success is the best revenge. It always is. Quit complaining. You gotta do what you need to do. Anyway, I'm trying to be in a good mood today because, almost the weekend. But I keep on getting crazy crap thrown at me. Some people around here, they'll joke and say, "Oh, you're a rock star. You end up being able to talk to all of these different people, like on the Twitter, etc." I'm not dropping names because it's not right. On a regular basis, though, I end up getting, ever since I started looking into the whole Gamergate thing, I blame one person at Cranky T-Rex on the Twitter. He doesn't, he has a real name, but I'm not allowed to say it, and nobody else is. It's a big secret. We guard the secret very carefully. It is far more well guarded than the gold down in Fort Knox, and if you're a truther or paranoid type, you say there's no gold there. But hey, they still have guards there. Well, we guard this little secret of who Cranky T-Rex is very, very carefully. So, you can follow him on the Twitter. It's worthwhile, especially if you are amused with pop culture, he is pretty darn good keeping up with it. I believe he was picking on movie trailers that had been shown on the Super Bowl commercials. Can't blame him there. I was liking that. Especially since he decided to pick on 50 Shades. But he is the evil individual who got me on the whole Gamergate thing. And then there was the evil Matt Vespa over at Town Hall that said it was a good idea to go and talk about women in tech, which of course led to more Gamergate. We're sensing a theme here. And if you're going to go and talk about Gamergate on Town Hall, you're doing it wrong if you don't go and hunt down somebody like Adam Baldwin and ask him what he thinks. So I got a quote from him. And then, since then, I just keep on getting more and more and more Gamergate stuff stuck and thrown at me. Now we're onward and upward. I'm moving around dealing with people who I normally wouldn't deal with, I suppose. Now we're into Daniel Vavra. At Daniel Vavra. Creative director of Kingdom Come Deliverance. Yeah. And he is in Prague, the Czech Republic. Now I get to follow him, or I have to. I'm going to get yelled at if I don't, I think, maybe. Who knows? But he, the other day, let's see if I could see when, because sometimes Twitter's mean. Yeah, the 3rd, February 3rd, he posted on the Twitter, I heard that there was a lot of talk about how sexist games are, so I checked and, well, they are not. And he put up an infographic. We all like our infographics. They're fun. Are video games really sexist? Top 100 games of 2014 according to GameRankings.com. And under this, they go and put playable characters / protagonists. And out of this top 100, 9 games have women only as playable characters. 9. Okay. And we move on. Then we have 46 that are unisex. 46. That means doesn't matter which sex you are. And honestly, in some of them, you're not necessarily sure what the sex is. Oh, wait, no, never mind. No, these are definitely, it fits for men or women. Yeah, there is another category that gets into the crazier stuff. Anyway, then there are 17 men only. 17. Then there are 14 sports, which I guess ostensibly are also men only, but I'm not sure about that. I mean, maybe they're all male sports people, but do we really care? I mean, because they're based on actual sports. It's not like you're going to sit there and put women... Oh, never mind. I'm not going to make suggestions because that would be a bad thing. Then there are 37 that are asexual, which basically means you may or may not know the gender of whatever playable character you are using. Yeah. So each game could be in multiple categories. Some cases are speculative. Is Mario Kart Sports? ? Top 100 chart as of October 2014. So if we go and add the ones that are ostensibly male, Either because, there's male sports figures on the screen because, well, that's what they are. We're somewhere in the neighborhood, and I do see Mario Golf there, so I'm not really sure about that one. But, Madden, NFL, FIFA, MLB, NBA, those are all pretty obvious. UFC. It is what it is. You're not going to put women on an NFL field. Doesn't happen. If the game's going to be realistic. You're not going to put them on the MLB either. Anyway, 17 plus 14. Let's see, math is hard. 1 and carry the 1. 31. 31 games. That doesn't even get up to the 46 for the unisex or the 37 for the asexual. And since the numbers that they always harp on are claiming that, there are a majority of men going and playing these games to begin with, the men-only ones, well, they're 17 versus 9 women-only. That doesn't sound like a huge thing to me, just saying. I mean, it's somewhere in honestly, it's not even 50-50 yet. So, no, the games are not necessarily sexist. Do they have women who are sexy? Yeah. But I got news for you, except for the wacky, I don't know, self-hating feminists out there. I'm sorry. I've come across more women who have said that they would rather look at Playboy than Playgirl. Kid you not. I am not joking here. And I'm not saying that they're running out to go buy these things. I'm saying that if they were sitting there and they were asked, okay, which one would you rather look at? Playboy or Playgirl? I have known more women, myself included, that would rather look at Playboy than Playgirl. And that's not saying that we're running around wanting to go get it on with women and we're closeted lesbians or bisexuals or something. No. I'm going to say something that's a very basic truth here, and I hope that the guys don't get offended. But while we do have the occasional moments where we'll sit there and say, ooh, that guy is hot looking or something like that. As soon as you get him in the nude, particularly in the context of Playgirl, meh. Sorry. For anyone with virgin ears, you'll want to not listen for a moment, but sorry. There is no huge draw for seeing a guy in the nude with a flaccid penis, just saying. And it's not as aesthetically pleasing as the female form. So we're talking pure aesthetics here as opposed to sexual attraction. The woman's body is more attractive. At least in my opinion, and apparently in the opinion of a lot of other women, at least ones that I've known. And I'm not going to go look up any scientific studies on that, even though I guarantee somebody did it, because if we're going and spending government dollars to go and see whether or not we can get brine shrimp to run on a running mill or whatever, treadmill, then somebody must have done a study sometime. Even if it was a stupid little survey in Cosmo or Vogue or something. And which, by the way, if it was really a big deal to go and see the male form so much, I guarantee you there would be more of them in the magazines like that. Just saying. There would be. So, yeah. I say get over it, folks. And besides, you're talking about Barbie here when it comes to video games. We're not talking particularly realistic when you're getting into the sexy women. I'm not big on the video games. Everybody should know that. But, hey, what are you going to do? The little previews that I see on the commercials and see on the stuff that I go and look at before I let my kid play a game, they all look like those screwed up Bratz and Barbie dolls and just not normal. So I'm just like, whatever, you're going to put big boobs on them, who cares? They look like Madonna when she was putting pointy crap on her breasts. Anyway, we will be right back after the news before I start talking about anything weirder that Madonna has done. Be right back. This is your Vigilant Liberty radio news from Independent Journal Review for Thursday, February 5th. ISIS has taken a gruesome turn when it comes to using social media, particularly Twitter. It appears that the decision to burn Jordanian pilot Moaz al-Kasasbeh to death was the result of crowdsourcing via the hashtag Suggest a Way to Kill the Jordanian Pilot Pig. The call for suggestions was apparently retweeted over 11,000 times, and the method used was among responses ISIS received on the social media site. Replies were often tagged with "We all want to slaughter Moaz." That was the Islamic extremist response to the hashtag We Are All Moaz. Political consultant David Axelrod is drawing attention to at least one claim he has made in his new book, Believer, My 40 Years in Politics. Axelrod implied that Mitt Romney's concession phone call in 2012 involved a reference that Obama's win was due to increased black voting in urban centers like Cleveland and Milwaukee. The Romney camp was quick to fire back, stating that Axelrod misrepresented what Romney actually said. Not to be left out of this fray, Obama himself made some references to Romney in a statement about his concern about the poor. Romney fired back on Twitter, stating, "Mr. Obama, wonder why my concern about poverty, the record number of poor in your term, and your record of failure to remedy." IRS Commissioner John Koskinen has confirmed that Obama's executive order will enable illegal immigrants to benefit from the Earned Income Tax Credit. Quote, "The program allows you to file for an Earned Income Tax Credit program. In terms of whether you can do that retroactively, the normal statutes of limitations would apply as to when you can apply, file an amended return in effect." Republican Senator Chuck Grassley, unhappy with this response during a hearing held by the Senate Finance Committee, fired back, quote, "This is a problem you get into. The IRS has an interpretation of the EITC eligibility requirements, undermines congressional policy of not rewarding those for working illegally in the United States. It is estimated that 4 million undocumented immigrants will now be eligible for tax benefits and Social Security numbers under the plan announced by Obama. I'm Liz Harrison, and this has been your Vigilant Liberty radio news from Independent Journal Review for Thursday, February 5th.
Hi, this is Jason Dibbler, co-host of Q with a View, heard every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on FTR Radio. Right now, FTR needs your help in making the jump into the 21st century through some long-needed equipment upgrades. This is where you, the great and loyal listeners of Great Conservative Talk Radio, can really lend a hand. Visit GoFundMe.com/helpupgradeFTR right now. Your assistance, no matter how small, will help to ensure that FTR can continue to offer some of the best conservative radio on the interwebs. Your donation of $50 gets you up to 60 seconds of airtime on FTR Radio 4 times. For $100, your ad will run 10 times, or if you don't want to run an ad, you can have 30 minutes of FTR airtime to talk about anything you want. There are other thank yous for other levels of giving as well, but those are some pretty great offers. We hope you'll consider making a small donation to help keep quality conservative talk radio alive and thriving on the internet. Visit gofundme.com/helpupgradeftr today. Thank you.
Hi, this is Steve Hamilton, Station Director at AltCon Radio. And that sultry voice you're listening to is Liz Harrison on The Liz Harrison Show.
And I'm back. I promised on the Facebook that I was going to get a little bit into the concept of feminists that are, well, thinking twice about that. So I'm going to play this real quick. This girl's amusing.
This is enough. People change. Opinions change. If I've ever turned off comments on a video, there's a reason for that. I no longer agree with some of the things I've said in previous videos. I no longer agree with some of the things I've said years ago. Now, months ago, I'd written an apology and posted it on Twitter and Facebook for anyone that I've offended, and a couple people were being good freaking people and forgave me for it. Other people still either didn't read it or didn't get through their minds that I'm the one being mature about this. And I'm going to try to not make this a rage, but it's kind of activated. So I'm going to try to be very calm in this video. There is a thin line between what is acceptable and what is not acceptable to wear in public, and that's not really going to change. Don't get me started on feminism, In different cultures, they dress different ways. And if they dress differently, it's considered wrong. America has the same basics. Ever look at the website called People of Walmart? Take a look. Humans judge each other. It's what they do. Anyone that says they have never judged anyone is either full of bullshit or they live in a smoke cloud. A guy cheated on his girlfriend, so that makes him an asshole for life? People make mistakes. A girl dresses trashy? That doesn't make her a whore. I hate the term slut-shaming. Just, what? If your friend came into school without a shirt, that's cool, right? It's only human anatomy. They're just boobs. This is America. Shirts and shoes and all that jazz. I don't give a fuck what anyone wears. It's not my life or my body. People should check their facts, too. At no point did I ever say it's wrong for girls to wear low-cut shirts. Just don't bitch when people stare, because they will. This whole feminism thing is just so stupid. In American standards, girls are commonly called sluts for wearing revealing clothing. That's not what a slut is. Slut is when they sleep around. And even if they do, it's their life, not yours. Everyone has their own limit of self-respect. Again, opinions change. People change. So everyone needs to take a deep breath and learn to let things go. Have a good one.
Wow. Yeah, and that was arguably what you would probably call flaming liberal. I'm impressed. It's sinking in. They're getting it. Yeah. And I'm hearing that kind of commentary more and more from individuals that had previously called themselves feminists and won't anymore. And then you have individuals who say, what's the point of calling yourself a feminist? And of course they threw a temper tantrum when they suggested that the word should be banned. Well, feminism has gone away from the whole concept of being equality for women. It has become, we're going to judge you and determine whether or not you are really a real woman and deserve to have our respect. See, I see this all the time in conservative politics. You know, the little litmus test we have going on. I love it. I wear it as a badge of honor. Because I'm either a gender traitor, according to, you know, all of the feminists that want to judge me and how I decide to live my life as a woman, because, you know, no matter what they say, I'm still going to be a woman. And then on the other side, I have all of these people who call themselves conservative, who call me a rhino, and somehow suggest that I'm not a real conservative because I don't agree with every little thing that they do. I love it. It's so much fun. And yeah, by the way, I am proud to be a rhino. I am a Republican in name only. Because I don't really have a choice. I reside in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We have closed primaries. If I want to have a voice and be able to vote in the primaries, I have to register as a Republican because that's the closest I can get to what I actually agree with. Do I agree with the Republican platform? Hell no. I agree with parts of it. I don't agree with all of it. Do I expect the party to form itself to agree with me? No. Do I expect to have them go and put a candidate in front of me that I'm going to agree with 100%, or I'm going to throw a temper tantrum and I'm going to stay home and not vote? No. The best I want is somebody who agrees with me more than the other guy. That's it. Because you are never going to have the perfect person running for office. And as far as the feminists go, my definition of woman is different from any other woman's definition of woman. Because we're all individuals. And to go and suggest that someone is a gender traitor because they make the radical suggestion that you should actually earn what you get, what respect you get in this world. Yeah, that is beyond wrong. Beyond wrong. It does not work. That is how you end up with a whole generation of Julias, which, by the way, we would not survive as a nation if we did. Because if everybody was like Julia, there would be nobody doing anything to build this nation up. There would be no innovation. There would be no growth of business. There would be no people taking risks. It would not happen. There'd be a bunch of robots that depend on Big Daddy government. That sucks. So, yeah. I give up as far as trying to, please anybody else. I am who I am, and if you don't like it, well, too bad. You'll listen to me or you won't. You could be angry with me. You can always go and yell at me at GoldwaterGal on the Twitter. It's always fun. I may or may not pay attention to you. If you swear at me, more likely than not, I'm not going to. But it's not that I'm being stuck up or anything. Sometimes people will say things to me and I'm just like, I have no response. So, keep hammering. Maybe I'll respond. But if you're going to be rude and ignorant, forget about it. It's not happening. Anyway, I was going to go and get into the whole Rolling Stone thing, and I will eventually. I keep on looking at this, and I'm like, really? They turn all of the GOP people into evil individuals, and some of them you'll really laugh. And I will get into it tomorrow. I'll just sit there and make that the first thing. Because we need to do this, by the way. You have to know what the opposition is saying about your guy, or even guys that you don't really like. But, yeah, like the first one they had is Paul Ryan, and every time I look at him, I always think, man, he looks like my cousin. So, it's always hysterical. But it's getting to be about that time. We have the Right Mics coming up at 2 o'clock. And right now, I have Michael Howsam, one of the two hell raisers that we have here on Vigilant Liberty Radio, coming up. Not next hour, but the hour after that. Right?
Exactly. And I would have a particular issue with us being hell raisers. And more... Excuse me. I would say we're not hell raisers. We're more fine tuners and examiners of particular hells that already exist.
Okay.
maybe that's a quibble.
It might be.
Hi, Liz.
Hi, Michael. How's it going?
It's going well. Thank you for asking.
So, what kind of trouble are you all getting into this afternoon?
We are doing a complex evaluation of Mike's decision to go non-GMO and gluten-free in his diet, well as Jessica's probably going to weigh in as to the various different marijuana samples that she's discovered, and we're going to share those experiences on the air. So it's going to be just like our normal show, pretty much.
This is the moment where I'm sitting here thinking, boy, am I glad that our program director is dead asleep.
No, what we try to do is, there's 12 trillion places to hear people discuss news and politics. So Mike and I have our own particular approach to that. But I'd say that we're probably 40% news and politics and 20% culture, because that's, part of what's interesting in life. So that's kind of what we try to do.
Okay. Yeah, well, I've come on there and it's always been interesting.
Well, one of the things that's important to us, and that is humor. Not that we're ourselves necessarily hilarious, although I, in fact, think that we are. It's that that aspect of approaching life and the particular topics that are confronting us during the day make things a bit more digestible and, frankly, keep me from hopping up onto a ledge.
Yeah, it's not good to end up wanting to hop up on a ledge.
No, for example, I'm doing a story right now. I wrote a story yesterday that was up on IJ Review about Brett Baer showing a picture of the burning death of that Jordanian Air Force pilot. And then Fox later linked the entire video, and they're the only cable network that did it. So the article I'm writing right now is that there was all kinds of criticism overnight about Fox doing that, and that it's just an effort on their behalf to try to get ratings. So Mediaite interviewed an executive vice president of Fox talking about it. The reality is that Fox already has the ratings, and I'm going to suggest that rather than trying to do it as a way to get ratings, because of decisions like this, they already have the ratings, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. And honestly, when I saw that, it reminded me of 9/11 and the song where they were saying, they took the images off the television because it would be bad for us to see that. No, we need to know the reality of it, as bad and ugly as it is. And the fact that they are putting it out there in a way where people can make the choice whether or not they actually want to view it, that's responsible. But yeah, I don't think it should be. I don't think it should be hidden.
Right. It is not them controlling and defining the narrative. It's allowing people to make a decision for themselves. It's treating them as adults to be able to sift through the news and come to their own conclusions, as opposed to making some sort of editorial decision as to what people should and shouldn't be aware of, and therefore what people should and shouldn't think about certain things. And I respect that.
Right.
Like I know, like Mike refused to watch the video. I don't know. Did you watch it? Did you watch the 20-minute ISIS video they released?
No, I didn't.
Now, why did you not?
Honestly, let's see. I got up this morning and I went through IJ Review because that's what I have to do, so that you have a news spot.
Love and appreciate, of course, right.
Right. So, and then from there I ended up with a few other various things that I had to address, and it just simply, I did not have time. So, right. Is it still up, or did they pull it, or?
No, it's still up. For example, Mike didn't want to see it just because he's like, you know what, I don't want to put that stuff in my brain. I'm already aware of generally what has happened, and the specifics are not interesting to me. Well, I wanted to see it. I haven't watched any of these other videos. I mean, I remember watching the Daniel Pearl one years ago, and I did. I watched the whole 20-minute thing, and Yeah, to a certain extent, it's now impossible to get that out of my mind. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. You know, it's like totally different context. But there were similar conversations that happened in the 1940s after the Americans discovered the concentration camps. There were discussions as to whether or not images of what had gone on there should have been published. For the sake of protecting people or whatever. And I think, that it helps us understand the nature of those that are literally wanting to kill us.
Right. And in the case of the concentration camps, a lot of video footage is surfacing now. If you're paying attention on Facebook at all, a lot of the historical film that had been taken by the military, both, American, British, Russian, they have all brought those all back, and they are trying to piece together, and I think they did piece together the movie that Alfred Hitchcock intended to make, which would have been the only documentary that was scrubbed, because the Allies changed their view of how they were going to deal with Germany, so they decided that they were not going to go forward with Hitchcock's film and finish it. Well, Hitchcock was to be the director. The producer was from Britain, and it was scary. I just thought, my goodness, that was shelved for all of these years. Right.
Yeah, and it's the same kind of thing with this. People can. I like the idea that Fox basically gave people the opportunity to decide for themselves whether or not they want to watch it, and then draw their own conclusions.
Right. Yeah. I would not agree with anybody sitting there saying this is a must-view video. That's not appropriate.
No, in fact, I've got friends on Facebook that said, hey, if you post this on your Facebook wall, I'm going to unfriend you.
Exactly.
Because I don't want to see this kind of thing. So, oddly enough, I published the article that made links to all of those things, but out of deference to people, if people want to find it and see it, they can go see it.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's one that you don't embed.
No. No, not unfortunately, but yeah, you're absolutely right about that.
Yeah, and I probably will go see it after getting off the air here, because I will theoretically have some time before I have to go back to doing more work for things that are coming up here on VLR. Like, we're having another one of your compadres from IJ Review end up on our airwaves tomorrow.
Right, Jennifer.
Yes.
Yeah, and she's great. She has done, when I had my own show, she did a few guest host duties for me, and she was great. And she's a regular on our show. In fact, she's going to be on our show, which is 2 to 4 Eastern Time. She will be on for a segment today. Both a little bit pitching her show, but also talking about some things that are on her mind. And she and both Scott are entertaining and good thinkers, and very tied into what's going on in the political world. So they're great guests, and they'll be a great addition to our network as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. And of course, Jessica and I get to. I was joking about it. I think we might flip Mike Miller. Whichever end, heads or tails, comes up to figure out which one of us ends up producing Jennifer.
Well,
see, I could do this because Miller's not on.
About him being flipped, or what exactly you mean by that? But okay.
We could go and throw him on a trampoline and see which way he lands.
Right.
No, we wouldn't actually do that. I'm not that mean to Mike Miller.
Right,
but,
right.
He's not here, so I get to pick on him.
Oh, that's one of my very favorite things in the world, is to belittle folks that have no ability to defend themselves.
Hey, it's not belittling them. It's just, little playful messing with him. Of course, I'm seeing him pop up on the Skype, so we might be in trouble. But
Oh, is he on the line right now?
no, he's not on the line. He's calling though.
Oh, well, we should probably take his call then.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to go and actually add him the old-fashioned way because the system is saying no, we don't want you.
Well, we'll just have to tell him that we had technical objections to his appearance.
Yeah, there you go. Technical objections.
Right.
The tech hates him or something, or it hates me. That's probably more like. But
So what things have you been talking about this morning?
Feminists and the fact that Gallup actually figured out that it's a good idea to point out that the unemployment numbers are a lie.
Yeah, you know what? That story kind of took off, didn't it?
Yes, it did. It has really taken off, and I'm happy to see it. I'm just waiting for them to go and point out that the 30-hour work week pushed on us by the Obamacare is also a negative. And I think we have Mr. Miller with us now.
Miller?
I don't know. He's sort of kind of there. I guess he heard me saying that I was going to flip him and decided to, get upset about that.
It's interesting that on the Gallup thing, and I'm just going to ignore the fact that Mike might be waiting in the wings. For econ nerds like me, in the last year, I think I've done 3 or 4 different pieces at IJ Review that made reference to, the fact that falling unemployment number is a sham because of precisely the things that Gallup pointed out. But it certainly has yet to make any impact on anything from the administration. But the fact that Gallup would come out and do that, in my opinion, kind of makes that more of a mainstream understood idea, which will go a long way to make it impossible for people like you, like Mike, like myself, have been for the last year. When the administration comes out and makes claims about the improvement in the economy and points to that unemployment number, people now, at least I hope, when Gallup makes it more mainstream, people will now understand, well, wait a second, you know what, that is a spun number. It's a fiction of a hopeful imagination, not a reflection of what's really going on.
Yeah, well, Mr. Miller says that we were doing great until we started talking about flipping him, and it's about that time because I'm one of the horrible people. I actually am syndicated here, so I have to be on time. I'm on K98talk.com later on, so we're gonna get going here. Listen into the right mics at 2 p.m. Eastern. And you'll catch Mike Hausum and Mike Miller, and you'll get to hear more about the show that will be starting tomorrow in the hour after this with Jennifer. So have a good day, folks. I am out of here.
Thanks, Liz. Talk to you later.